All right, so let's talk about the Arkansas Razorbacks. Strong start to the season, obviously holding off a pretty good Cincinnati Bearcats team, 31-24. Give a lot of credit to Arkansas. It was kind of an up and down game. I thought Arkansas actually controlled the flow of the game for the most part. Cincinnati had some big plays to kind of hang in it. But I love the fact 5.5 minutes to go. Arkansas got the football back, 31-24 with the lead, ran out the clock, power football behind KJ Jefferson, that strong offensive line. I know I brought a tear to Coach Sam Pittman's eye, former offensive line coach. But now here we go, Arkansas Razorbacks. You finally have a strong opportunity going to this weekend's matchup against the University of South Carolina that didn't look all that impressive week one against Georgia State. But Miles, what are your thoughts right now on Arkansas and their overall and how they played against Cincinnati and what you think of them going into USC this weekend?
Yeah, Nick, I thought they looked great against Cincinnati. A really strong start to a season against a tough opponent who was in the college football playoff last year. Obviously, they lost a couple key pieces, they being Cincinnati. But Arkansas looked really, really good, powering behind KJ Jefferson. And then running back Raheem Sanders had a phenomenal game as well. But I want to key on that, okay? Coming into South Carolina, I had the benefit of being at the South Carolina Georgia State game, watching it in person. And what I thought that South Carolina was most susceptible to was Georgia State had them on the ropes with the run game. Georgia State couldn't really pass the ball all that well until the very, very end of the game. They got some chunk plays in there, but they were very good at running the ball against South Carolina. And don't let the final box score fool you. Georgia State was in that game for a very long time until the end. Then South Carolina started to pull away a little bit. But I think if Arkansas puts the bulk of their offense on the back of this dynamic rushing attack they have with Jefferson and Sanders, they're in for a pretty favorable matchup against the Gamecocks, don't you think?
100%. And the thing I want to focus on with Arkansas here is they have a really strong opportunity, right? Because obviously they have South Carolina, who I think they match up extremely well against. You brought up the South Carolina's weaknesses in the running game. Spencer Rattler. I mean, I didn't see a whole lot of South
Wasn't a
Carolina game.
clean game.
Wasn't clean, didn't look that great. Again, it's Georgia State, right? It's not exactly he's not playing Georgia or anything, obviously. So it didn't look good for South Carolina, which is obviously a good sign for Arkansas. But you have South Carolina, then you get FCS Missouri State heading into just a bloodbath back-to-back games, A&M and then Alabama. But to be fair, the Arkansas did beat A&M last year 20-10. So I don't think A&M is much of a concern. Obviously, Alabama's Alabama. You approach that as it comes, and it is what it is. But I think this is a really strong chance for Arkansas to kind of make that leap. I think right now they're ranked number 16 in the country. If they can handle South Carolina and look good doing it, and then go into Missouri State, handle them fine, that sets up a huge showdown against Texas A&M, and then obviously Alabama to follow. But this is a point right now, as you get later into the year, this is where recruits are really watching, and this is where you really build a program. This is where schools like Alabama with Nick Saban, when he first came over, he used to focus extremely hard on these big early season games, out of conference matchups, and early SEC games, because that's how you get recruits on your side. These big, you look physical, you look strong, you look overpowering. And I think Arkansas showed a lot of those traits against Cincinnati. And if they can keep that going against South Carolina, obviously it bodes well for this season and starts them off strong as they head into their murderer's row, a couple of games there. But it also is great for a really nice growing program that Sam Pittman's building here, because the recruits are going to see that game. And now that signing day is a lot earlier, that's going to go along well for them and continue to do well in the recruiting game as well.
Yeah, Nick. And when I think Arkansas football, I don't think it has been this strong of a program since the days of like Darren McFadden or something along those lines. Those were some pretty phenomenal programs. Had a strong running back, much like Raheem Sanders. Don't want to make any comparisons yet, but he's looking very good as just a sophomore running back in this program. But Pittman has something special brewing down there in Arkansas. And I think, like you said, if they can capitalize on these early opportunities, you roll in with some momentum to face A&M. And that's what teams like A&M hate. If they can play a big physical rushing attack like Arkansas, and if Arkansas can control the pace of that game, play their brand of football early and often, I think that's how you beat a team like A&M. You control the play clock, control the momentum of the game. Don't let them get anything going. And I really think Arkansas is primed to have a big game there. But I want to go back to this last game that they played against Cincinnati. Raheem Sanders, to me, he just looked like a phenomenal running back. And I think going into this game against South Carolina, who, like I said, seemed very susceptible to the run, very susceptible to big running plays nonetheless. Sanders has a big time opportunity, and that's been the theme of this whole show so far, is Arkansas has a lot of big time opportunities. And I think Sanders has the opportunity to go into South Carolina. He had a strong start, obviously 20 carries, 117 yards. He can go into South Carolina and bolster that. And I think he could even get even more rushing yards this game. So I think there's another big time opportunity for Sanders in this game, don't you think?
100%. And just one correction here. I believe they actually get South Carolina at home. So they're actually going to get them in Fayetteville, which just makes it even better for Arkansas. Again, ride this momentum, like you said, and give Sanders the football. Do I have that right? I think they have him at home.
Yes, they're in Arkansas.
Correct. Okay, cool. Yeah, ride that momentum. You've got the strength. You've got that physical offensive line. You've got your mentality. This is where early in the season you build those habits. You get your identity as a football team. And I love what you're talking about because that's how you beat teams like A&M and to a larger extent Alabama. You can't play their game. You have to play yours. And if the Arkansas Razorbacks can have that identity as a strong, powerful football team with KJ Jefferson's obviously special ability to throw the football and run the offense from that side, if they can get that identity going, this is a team that could be really, really threatening in the SEC West. So I agree 100% that they're shaping up really strong to run the football and continue that momentum into South Carolina and beyond.